Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It's Genna.
And Noreen.
And we're back for another episode. Woo!
Yeah. And we remember to do our intros at the beginning this time.
Yeah, we always forget, and then we come back and we're told, hey, introduce yourself. And we do it again. It's awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're back, and it's been a while. I feel like we took a good little break with Christmas and like depression winter season, and now it's spring.
Yeah.
Ish.
I hope it stays spring.
I hope.
Because I thought it was spring, and then all of a sudden it started snowing last week, and that was not fun.
I hate that. And you have your iron ring.
I do.
Yay.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I feel like that to me was for context, iron rings are what engineers from accredited Canadian universities get when they done their program or almost done their program. That to me felt like more of a milestone and a last hurrah than actual graduation.
Okay, thank you for saying that, because the way there have been so many people that have been like, oh no, you have to wait for convocation. You're not graduated yet. And I'm like, this is my graduation.
We're done. We're mentally out.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm an engineer now. That's it. This little ring defines my status as an engineer.
How do you feel almost done school?
Scared?
Yeah, okay.
It's scary because it's like for 10 plus, no, I want to say 15 plus years of your life you've been in school. And it's like, what do I do when it's done?
Yeah, and we love school. We're those kids. We used to love school. It was really lame, but you know.
I don't think that's lame.
I don't think it's lame either. I used to love taking tests. Is that weird?
No, because I did too. But
I get
maybe
really excited.
we have a bias here.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe there's a bias.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an avid test taker back in the day. I enjoyed that. And I think, I don't know, I feel like it's led me to a place where I don't know, I like learning. Even now, as a post-university person, I think if there's an opportunity to learn a bit, I'll jump at it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. However, though, my stance on test taking has changed.
Okay.
I don't like taking them anymore.
Fair, really?
Yeah. I feel like it's not a good example of what you know. Or it doesn't really show your knowledge in the course. I think you're better off doing I think hands-on work and lab work or project work is a little bit more testamental to what you know and
it's forgiving. I feel like tests are not forgiving.
No, not at all. No, yeah.
That is very true. I feel like I'm still in a mindset of not a mindset, but I do think I enjoy the validation of a test.
Yeah.
Of getting things right, the satisfaction of it. But you're right. It's not always representative of actual learning, you know?
Yeah.
And I have so many friends in university, while we were in engineering together, our grades were not really good, kind of awful.
Yeah.
But these are some of the smartest people I know.
Yeah.
You know, now in life, the things they're doing, some of the smartest people I know.
Yeah. No, I really hate, I don't know, I guess it's being those super, I want to say, lack of a better word, nerdy kids. You really like taking tests and you like the validation of the A's on your report card and whatnot. And then you go to engineering and you're like, well, they're not A's anymore.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks. And I think that was a part of why I don't like test taking anymore, because I don't get the validation.
That's true.
But yeah, here we are. Almost done engineering, you know?
Yeah, she's almost done.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that, on that topic that got me through a lot of that was probably, I don't know, people to look to in engineering, outside of engineering, mentor-like figures. So I'm thinking we can talk a little bit about that. The idea of mentorship and what that means to us and how it's helped us come this far.
Yeah.
Maybe just to start, I feel like I've had mentor figures of all kinds. I feel like I've had official mentor appointed figures. I feel like I've had unofficial people that sort of fulfill the role of a mentor in my life. And I feel like I've had people that don't actively come to mind as a mentor at all. And I don't think they see themselves as mentors in my mind, but they've inevitably become one over time. Yeah. Right? And I think there's this, there's this misconception of a mentor having to be sort of kind of forward by a phase in life, in that they can look back and kind of share all the guidance that they have that maybe we're missing. But I think one big thing about mentorship I've realized is it's a two-way street, And there isn't place for this status difference or, you know, stature difference for a mentorship to be successful. What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree. Like looking back now, like all of the mentor-mentee relationships I've had don't necessarily reflect a status quo or like a difference in where you are in your life. It could, and it doesn't even need to be a mentor for life. It could be a mentor for an aspect of your life. Right. So no, I completely agree with you. And there's so many that you go through while being in school, while, you know, just navigating like every single day. And you find mentors in places that you never think you will. And you're very right. Like there's people that come to mind that I wouldn't think are mentors by definition, but they definitely play the role of a mentor in your life.
Whether they know it or not. I feel like there's people that unofficially become your mentor and they kind of like intentionally are giving this guidance and know the role that they're playing. Sometimes it's as casual as a friend, a sister, somebody. Yeah. You know, like the role they play in your life inevitably turns into one of a mentor because of the impact they're able to have. Like for me, I think maybe let's start with that category because I feel like that's a fun one. Like the friends, the friends in my life, my sister, my little sister is probably someone I consider one of my biggest unofficial, like quote unquote mentors in life. I learned so much from her. She's younger than me in a completely different field of life. Very different in personality, but I think she's one of the biggest mentors I look to navigate a lot of situational things. Yeah. Right.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions that come from like mentorship is we always assume that a mentor has to be older.
Yeah. And age-wise as well. Yeah.
I very much disagree with that. Like you said, your sister, and she's a wonderful person. And I can very much see like her being a mentor to you in aspects. And I feel like I also have a lot of relationships that are very close in friendship, I'd say, and people may look up to me as a mentor, but I think I go the other way too. Like I think a mentor is anyone you can learn something from. Right. So it doesn't matter if they're older, it doesn't matter if they're established in their career, it doesn't matter where they are in terms of like any sort of hierarchy, as long as you're able to like learn from them. I think that's a form of mentorship.
Hugely like accurate. Yeah. And I think another thing is, so I have a mentor figure in my life that happened to come in not really with any intent. Like I remember I went to volunteer at this event that I really didn't want to this day. And I went to this event and it was actually me facilitating a mentorship event. Wow. For other people. Yeah. So I went in there and I was just facilitating conversation. And I remember this one mentor-mentee like pairing. The mentee didn't show up. And this mentor was there and she was kind of speaking and something clicked and we just kind of vibed. And lo and behold, I hit her up. We got coffee. And then we've been getting dinner every few months ever since. Yeah. And we have such a great relationship because it is somewhat that of a mentor, but I think we always try and frame it as we're like mentor friend, mentee friend people. Like she got married and I was able to take her out for a really nice dinner. Oh,
that's so sweet.
And I feel like at the end of the day, it's just about clicking. You click with someone and they're ready to like kind of impart experience, but also just see you through certain times in life and it works out. And I think the biggest thing we talk about all the time is the fact that she learns from me all the time. She's much older than me. Yeah. She is much more advanced in her career. But we've said this over and over that she gets to learn a lot from me. Yeah. I bring a lot of like maybe newer perspective, fresher perspective, and just like a different take on things that sometimes she really appreciates a lot. Yeah. You know?
No, I totally get that. And I think my personal take on mentorships or like relationships, I think the most beautiful part of it is when you go from like, I'm loosely going to say official because it doesn't have to be like you're my mentor and you're my mentee like relationship. But when you're like in a place where you start establishing that relationship, but then when the friendship piece comes into that mentorship relationship, I think that is the most beautiful aspect of it because
so much so.
You go from having like someone to look up to someone who you are friends with and like they continue to be a supporter and they continue to be someone who like always is there for you. They're always rooting for you. They're always like pushing you to be a better person. And I think one, that's one of the most beautiful types of friendships, but seeing that transition is just so nice. And I'm so thankful to have gone through that, like just recently. But I love that so much. I love seeing that like change, because I think your relationship with that person just becomes that much more fruitful.
I so agree. I feel like, yeah, even in a work setting, even in those appointed mentorship kind of dynamics, 100%. The minute there's an ounce of friendship in there, things change. I feel like they become sort of a champion for you in life and career, rather than simply this like one directional imparting of knowledge and fact at you. The minute there's that ounce of friendship in there, it becomes this like bi-directional exchange of like just genuine support, good intent, and it's not so much knowledge transfer. It becomes more like, it's more of a support exchange. And I think that is the key to mentorship, right?
Yeah.
Like it's wanting to be there, and it's wanting the best for somebody. Yeah. That's what takes mentorship to the next level. And I think, I feel really lucky too that I've been able to have both like official and not so official and very like surprising kind of mentorship relationships, which I really, really enjoy. Yeah. You know what I think about sometimes? I feel like we're such different people now, but I think in high school, you and I could so have benefited from some mentorship. I think that is probably the pivotal time in life where you and I could have so benefited from some good mentorship. Yeah. Right?
I think it gets really difficult to, one, learn the value, but secondly, seek mentors when you're in high school. Because I almost feel the second I stepped into like the university world and like the career world, you were naturally in a place where you saw people. And I'm going to say this again, I know mentorship isn't about someone being older than you, but that is the first approach to it. Like, I think that's just the natural approach to it. So that was the first time I was kind of like, oh, there's people older than me willing to talk to me. Because I think in high school, you're very much stuck to like the grade range you're with, right? Like, I don't think there were many times that we spoke to someone in the like one grade above. Or even if we did, it was very like school course related. It wasn't like, what are your aspirations? Like, what's going on in your life? What are some goals that you have? And I think those conversations come up when you're in university, when you see yourself in a career. Yeah.
That's true.
I definitely agree. I feel like there should be some sort of mentorship program for like high school students, because it would be so nice.
So good.
Yeah. And it sucks that there isn't, because it would have been really nice to know perspectives outside of what you developed with knowing the limited information and the limited resources that you had around you at that age.
Right.
Yeah.
That is very true. I think the earlier the better when it comes to like seeking support, seeking mentorship. I think that's another aspect to it. I think a lot of the time you have to seek it out, right? A lot of good mentorship is it just comes about, which is cool. Yeah. Sometimes we're all like fortunate enough to have things happen and have relationships in our life that serve as very fruitful mentorship-y dynamics. But a lot of the times you have to seek it out. Yeah. Right? Especially as an adult, I think in the corporate world or in the workforce, it's difficult for things that are organic and work well to just happen. Yeah. Right? Magic, like snap your fingers, it just happened. It just so happened. I think you have to seek it out, and I think it's trial and error. It's about like connecting with different people, sitting down over coffee and getting to know someone and understanding if you vibe or not. Yeah. It's trial and error. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I think that's the first step probably. Yeah. Would you agree?
I would totally agree. And on the topic of us talking about having access to mentorship as like a high school student, I think it would be such a cool thing. I know it's like impossible, but it would be so cool to have an older version of you be a mentor to your younger self.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, the amount of things you could tell yourself and the amount of times you could tell yourself being like, hey, it's gonna be okay, would have been so helpful, because you go through like, I don't know, I personally feel when I was younger, I went through more waves of emotion than I do now as an adult. Like, I think I'm able to kind of pick things that, you know, do upset me or do make me feel a certain way, or like I'm able to manage that. Whereas like when I'm younger, that's not something you learn right away. It's something that comes about as you grow older, as you experience life and situations. And it would have been so nice to just have an older version of me come back and being like, hey, you're going to be fine. Like, don't stress about this.
That is so true.
Yeah.
I feel like, I think with perspective, everything gets better.
Yeah.
You get better at understanding what your priorities are. Not that I'm anywhere near that point right now. I still feel like there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But in general, I think I have a general direction. You and I have talked about this all the time, how we're like developing or growing all the time, and we don't really know what we're doing. We don't know exactly what we want to be doing for the rest of our lives, but I think we become more confident about our core fundamental values at this point in life.
Totally. That makes a lot more sense. Like,
maybe like we can't articulate them, but at least we have this general direction. We gravitate towards certain things and we know, hey, this is a core value.
Yeah. And it's very subconscious too. Like, I think when a situation or opportunity arises and it doesn't necessarily align with your core values and your perspectives, like, I feel like I'm naturally inclined to stay away from it now.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely will, go out of my way subconsciously and seek the things that I want to, but I also do the opposite, where I refrain from taking on to things that don't necessarily serve me or serve me in the process of what I want to see for myself in 100%. The next, like, stages of life.
I think, be it relationships, be it the kind of work you do, be it the friendships, huge. Oh my God, friendships is huge. On that note of talking to yourself, now as a grown-up-ish adult, like to your younger high school self, I think the one biggest thing I would talk about would be relationships. I would tell myself, friendships especially, I would reiterate everything a good friendship is to me today. And again, lucky, I feel super, super fortunate that I can say very confidently, I know what that's like now. Yeah. I would just iterate that so clearly to my younger self and say, this is it or nothing. Yeah. Right? Like, aim for this or nothing. Yeah. And if you don't get that, that's fine. Hold out for real friendship. Yeah. You know? Because I feel like when you're young, you just tend to, I don't know, I guess you're in high school. Like, you just want to be in with the crowd. And you want to be like, you want to be part of something. You want to feel part of something. Yeah. But I think these days you're right. Like, I think you gravitate towards what you want subconsciously. And now that I know what good friendship is supposed to look like, I know and feel myself gravitating towards that. And I've finally gotten to the point where I can set those bounds and say to myself, if this is not filling my cup, if this is not meeting me where I need it to meet me, that's it. We're just going to leave that behind. Yeah. And it's a difficult thing to do, but I think the more you realize time is very precious and there's only so much time you have to yourself and for leisure and to relax, that's when you realize how important it is to really pick the people that you surround yourself with.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think going back to the point of you gravitating towards things, I think when you become established and understanding what it is that you seek in life and what it is that you value, you also gravitate those types of people to you. Right. And I feel like there's always going to be, again, friendships that don't necessarily serve you in your life. But I feel like at this point in my life where I feel a little bit more established and know what I value in life, 9 out of 10 people that I meet do serve that. And there's always going to be a few people that, you come around and they serve you for the time being or they don't. And it's just a passage of life that you go through. Yeah. But I'm so happy with kind of like the support circle that I have around me and like the friends that I have around me, because it makes you feel like it's going back to the whole aspect of wanting in high school. But I think that narrative changes as an adult. It's like wanting in to your personal beliefs and your personal values, and they also serve your beliefs. They serve your values, and there's a bridge there. It's not just, I'm going to say the word, I don't necessarily know it's the correct word to use, but it's not superficial.
I agree. 100%. I think that makes sense. Yeah. And I see your hesitation in using the word superficial. Yeah. Because I think even now in life, sometimes you want superficial friends. Yeah. And what I mean by that is friends serve a lot of different purposes in your life. I think we get very lucky when we find someone we can do everything with. Yeah. When you have those like soul friendships where you feel like you can joke about. You can talk about like really deep, intimate issues. You can go out and have a good time, get a drink, all of that. But sometimes as adults, you have friends in your life that serve different purposes, right?
Yeah.
You have friends where maybe you do get the odd drink every now and then together and you have an absolutely wonderful time when you do it. But maybe you haven't developed that friendship, or that friendship doesn't really make it past that point of also having those very deep, intimate conversations all the time. And I think there's maturity in realizing that, right? In understanding that sometimes friendships can serve certain purposes in your life. Yeah. So I do agree. I do agree with the hesitation of using that word superficial. But all in all, 100% I agree. At this point, we're both in a place where we are very, very selective with the people we let in. And I think that is huge progress. Yeah. And I think it's the best place to be in. And I think that makes us that much more in tune with what we want in terms of mentorship. Yeah. Right? And I think one specific aspect of mentorship that I particularly love in the last few like months and maybe last year that I've come to really appreciate is like female mentorship. When I can talk to another woman about what it's like to be in the workplace, when I can talk to another woman about what it's like to balance work and everything else, I think that holds so much weight to it. And I don't think I ever realized that before in university, school, anything. I think it took me starting work to understand that life is complex and there's a lot to balance at one point. And I think to look for relatability and these kinds of things, look to another woman to like mentor you through a lot of things. Yeah. That is a really good thing to do. And it feels really good. And you feel like you're part of something and you feel understood. Yeah. Right?
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I ironically have had that realization, but plus more, I think I've just naturally forced myself to surround myself with women and mentors who are women in my life. So that always was a special aspect, but I recently realized how much of a role men play in your adulting and your career growth or just your growth in general. Like, for a very long time, I was under the impression that women serve you with so much knowledge, and they do, and it's so valuable, but you also need men to cheer for you. And it's so important to have that, because with having mentors who are just women, they're rooting for you and they really are, and they're supporting you. But when you have men also cheer for you on the same level, it feels like it's a whole complete picture at that point. Because it's like women get your perspective. They've been in your shoes. They know exactly how you feel. Yeah. And that validation is so important. But to have someone who hasn't experienced it validating you and telling you that you're doing great and you're being supported by them, it feels so comforting.
That is so true. Yeah. Oh my God. Now that you say that, I think even where I'm at with work and everything, that's a very true thought. I feel very fortunate to be surrounded by men that are extremely supportive and that are sort of champions of my progress and my development and my growth, and that feels really good too. That is completely true, for them to be able to cheer for the women at work. That's a very good thought.
Yeah. And it's weird. I only had this realization like a few, I want to say months ago, but in the term I say months, I mean like closer to like a year and a half. Right. And it's something that's built upon itself. But like overall, when I look at mentorship, and I love that I have such strong women mentors in my life, but I'm also now looking at it and I'm so fortunate to have men that I look up to as well, and how much of a, impact they've had in like my recent growth as a leader, as a student, as someone who's going to be an upcoming career professional. Like, I didn't realize that both aspects are equally important.
That is so true. And I feel like especially in the world of STEM, I think it's that much more important for men at work to be able to reach out and be that mentor figure to upcoming women professionals, like women in the profession. And I think that's so true. And I think now that you've said that, I'm going to be a lot more cognizant of that. But looking around, I feel that already. I feel fortunate. And I think everyone, I hope for everyone that they can be as fortunate to also feel that. Yeah. Because I know that there's on the other end, stories that don't go down so well, right? Like experiences in the workforce where you, as a woman in a more like male dominated field where things aren't the most comfortable, where things don't feel the most supportive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess my hope would be that everyone can feel that, and that more and more people are realizing the importance of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think being in a male dominated field, it gets a little difficult because I naturally see women clump to each other. And it helps so much to know that there's community and that you have strength in numbers with that, because you are putting yourself in a space where it's a lot of women.
That's important too, yeah.
But then when you have everyone play a bigger picture and like you're all advocating
That
for
is so true.
everybody,
Right.
It's so beautiful.
That is so, so true.
Yeah.
I think that's so, so important. Like you want a balance of both. You want
Yeah.
everyone to be able to come together and foster an environment, yeah, where women feel comfortable enough and confident enough in their development,
Yeah.
right? In more male dominated spaces. True. Oh, I love that. I love that
Yeah.
for us. I'm very excited of how things are turning out. People seem to be a lot more receptive to this idea.
Yeah.
And I think workplaces are changing for the
Yeah.
better. I think it's slow sometimes, understandably so. A lot of it is systemic. A lot of it is deeply rooted in like recurring circumstance. So it's hard to undo things or like revamp things overnight. But it's a very comforting thought that there's a lot of effort being put, at least from what I see,
Yeah.
into making this change happen, right?
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a good thought to end this
Yeah.
off on, right? A very hopeful thought.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can end it off on, like, yeah, I like what you brought up with what you would tell your younger self, right? And I don't know, maybe it can be related to work and STEM and this and that,
Yeah.
but maybe we can end it off with that. What is it that you, now that we've talked about mentorship
Yeah.
and what maybe your younger self would have wanted to hear, what would you tell yourself maybe like a couple years from now? Or
Yeah.
I guess a couple years back, like high school.
Yeah.
Wow, high school was not a couple of years back. That is my bad. In my mind, we stopped aging at like 19. That is
Don't
so bad.
tell me that.
It was a long time ago.
I'm gonna say, and this is very particular, and we have yet to have this conversation because it was something that was a very fresh, like workshop that I attended, and we're gonna talk about it after. Maybe I'll bring it up the next episode.
Yeah.
Because it's such a big thing to unpack, but something I took away from it, and I think it will be applicable in every aspect of my life, no matter how old I am. I would tell myself, failure is not bad.
Yeah.
And failure is just a pivot to bring you to what you really deserve.
That is such a good one.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I think, yeah, mine should probably, like my younger self should probably hear that as well, 100%.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I would tell myself though is probably trust in yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's something I have to tell myself every day today as well. Trust in your gut, trust in your instinct, trust in your abilities, trust in your decision making, and trust in all the implicit decision making more than anything. Because I think it's so hard to be decisive for me sometimes, and you know this about me, but I think there's a lot of implicit decision making and a lot of implicit opinion forming that I have sometimes that I want to make sure that my younger self would be confident enough to trust in going forward.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that is what my thought would be for my younger self. My hope is that everyone took away some good vibes from this mentorship related episode. And my hope is that everyone can look around their life and feel like they've been mentored, again, in a formal capacity, professional capacity, but just also in life.
Yeah.
Be it with friends, be it with family, be it with partners, to feel like someone is a champion for you in life, work, everything else is a very good feeling.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. And I really hope that sometimes we feel like we don't realize or understand who is a mentor. And I want everyone to walk away from this finding or thinking of someone they didn't think was a mentor in their life and appreciating them for the mentor that they are.
That they've become.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
they've become. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's us. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.